on those violation of lockdown measures by Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Yeah, so this report that you're talking about is the Sue Gray report. This was a civil servant, a senior member of the civil service, asked to investigate what has happened in Downing Street across lockdowns, across the entirety of the coronavirus pandemic, after there were reports and seemingly some evidence that parties had taken place there which went against the government's own guidelines. Now, this report has been released in a sort of pared back form in the last couple of days, Sue Gray's report. In it, she says that she has seen evidence of around 16 parties that took place. 12 of those are now being investigated by the Metropolitan Police, and because of that investigation that has now been launched by the police, she's been unable to publish her report in full. Now, that decision was met with uproar by opposition MPs and some of Boris Johnson's own party, the Conservatives, as well, in Parliament yesterday. He was forced to apologise for what was described as a lack or a failure of leadership within that, and that those parties were difficult to justify, Sue Gray said. So he came under attack from opposition MPs who said that he had misled Parliament, that he should resign. And now more MPs, we understand, are submitting letters of no confidence to a group of MPs within the Conservative Party that have a level of control over whether a leadership contest should be triggered. Those votes and letters are now piling up, but it has to reach a level of 54 letters before anything like that can be triggered, and we still think we're waiting for quite a few before that might happen.
And those calls really gaining momentum, Laura. Now, he was supposed to have a telephone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and this was going to be on the Ukraine issue. Any reason why this was postponed to Wednesday? Are the latest developments maybe the reason, possibly?
Well, there's many people questioning if that indeed was the case. Of course, Boris Johnson was there defending himself in Parliament, and no doubt Number 10 was really concentrating on the backlash from other MPs and from the public as well, and working out how they might deal with it. That call, as you say, was cancelled. Instead, Boris Johnson today has flown to Ukraine to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky amid those heightened tensions between Ukraine and Russia as Russian troops amass near the border with the country. He's offered an £88 million funding package to help try to consolidate and support the state there, and that comes amid other offerings of support and lethal aid, as the United States has described it, being sent to the country too. We understand a press conference will shortly get underway between those two leaders before the Prime Minister flies back to the United Kingdom again. We also understand that that call with President Putin is set to be rearranged, so we'll wait and see what comes out of that call. But we understand that the Ukraine crisis, of course, is being played now as the biggest issue of the moment, and that, the Prime Minister is saying, should trump what's happening inside Downing Street, and of course those findings as to what happened within his team over lockdowns.
I wonder if he'll get his way to have what's happening in Ukraine actually trump what is happening in his own backyard, because it looks like the calls, as you say, are gaining momentum for him to step down, and I wonder if in fact he will succumb to the pressure. But we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for that. That was SABC News correspondent Laura Makin-Isherwood.